August 5th, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. So this was quite an impressive sell-off. In the pre-market, the big move happened. It moved from 53.45 all the way down to 51.20. That is a 220-point move. This is quite impressive. I don't really know what happened during this time. It was just this gigantic sell-off and kind of the squiggly leg. And you could argue there's maybe one leg up, two corrections down, another kind of choppy leg up, and then another leg down. It almost looks like a sideways M. It was pretty tough to trade today. There was a lot of volume. I've never seen this much volume today or ever. I mean, I haven't been trading for forever, but it was just this is clearly a whole lot more volume than usual. It was also difficult to find, well, not difficult to find trades, difficult to take trades because there were a lot of bars, especially signal bars, that were very, very huge. So I had to be very patient and look for a really strong setup to consider a trade because there were some second entries in here that were close, but it's just the fact that the signal bar is so large that in order to take the trade, even if you're scalping more than just 1 point, your risk profile is huge because in order to, ensure you don't get stopped out early, you'd have to probably have a 6 point stop loss, which is huge. Even if you're trading one contract, it just felt very, very risky today. So I'm going to get into the trades right now. I do want to point out that at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard, which is about right here, we see this big hiccup, this big push up. It was the ISM Services PMI, which looked like it kind of moved the market, but there was other factors in play that were dominating what was happening. So, oh, this is also a carryover from Friday. I wasn't even around to trade on Friday, but Friday had a 100-point move, and I thought that was pretty large. Then today, it kind of throws that out the window and gives you a 200-point move, which is on the ES is pretty amazing. On top of that, there was just so much volume traded today. So this is the pre-market. There was a lot of things going on in here, even before it turned over into Monday, because this is like Sunday trading. It was just pretty crazy. I found this channel going down, but it doesn't matter because I'm not there for the pre-market. The first setup that I do see, but I didn't really mark it as a possible trade, is okay, there's a clear break of this yellow down channel. There's an overshoot here, a second one, and it starts crawling back up. So I find this green up channel, and I thought this was actually a potential kind of like a lower high setup because it's having a confirmed bounce here. It's a break of this orange down channel, made one attempt down, second attempt down. So you have first entry short, second entry short. Technically, you have a third entry short. But I saw it as one leg down, one push up. This combined as one leg down, and this push up. So it's break, first attempt up, pull back, second attempt up, and potentially a lower high. The thing I didn't like about this is if you look at this, this is a 5 point bar. So this is like 20 ticks. This looks really tiny. It's because these guys are all gigantic. So if this had been the right, color, like it had been ended green, and it was smaller because the entire day, I wish it could just divide all the bars by two, and it would have made it more easy to take a trade. But it wasn't because if you just look at this candle here, this is like a 14 and a half bar, 14 and a half point candle, which is just insane. So this looks tiny, but it's actually a 5 point bar. It's just really dicey, hard to trust. I mean, even if you have your read of the trade is correct, it doesn't take much for you to just lose a lot of money, even if the high probability trade doesn't play out. One of those outside chances come in, you're going to lose money. So it kind of creeps up on this green up channel. There was a bounce here. I thought this was a possible trade. I actually like this trade, but I was nervous about it again for the size of the candle. So you have this clear support here on this green up channel. You have what I thought was kind of like a triple test because I was thinking maybe there's a range here because it looked like I didn't really count this as a touch, but this is one attempt down. This is a second attempt. This is a triple test here. I also saw it as one leg down, push up, second leg down, and then now it's looking like a potential higher low, even though it makes the same uh, matching bottom, but it is bouncing off this confirmed support of this green up channel. So I like this trade. The only problem is if I want to take this trade and I had a bigger confidence and bigger bankroll, I wanted to break above the EMA, which it does right here, and it closes and it kind of engulfs this candle. So I like that kind of setup. but I don't want to take this trade after the close because this is a 12 and a half point candle. So that's really, really dicey. But let's just say I did want to take it and everything was divided in half. I would have placed it above this initial or this original signal bar. So I would have put it one tick above here. Looks like it would have filled me and looked like it would have worked, but it's just these candles are huge. Even this tiny guy right here looks small. This is 3 3/4, so it's still pretty large. So then prices move up. It confirms this green up channel, so I'm really confident in it for the support side. Actually, this is where I take my first trade. Now, this is not the best trade, I'll admit. It was actually a very, very risky, very dicey trade. So this is what was going through my mind. I'm thinking, okay, I have this confirmed support. This top resistance at one time was slightly lower and I had this overshoot, and then I had another overshoot here. As soon as this overshoot printed, I said it actually fits pretty nicely about right there. So it's one touch, two touch. So it looks like clearly it's a bullish leg up. Now, the reason I took this trade is I saw this bounce here. I wanted to see what would happen as it came down to the EMA, because I'm thinking it touched this side, it might come back down and hit this side. So definitely if there's a trade, if the prices come down here, I'm going to look for a trade. So this is what was happening in my mind. I saw this one leg down break of this purple pinkish channel, tested, made a new low. It just barely, made a new low here, or not made a new low, but tested the low, bounces back up. So I saw it as a first entry long pullback, second entry long. Now, this is the reason why it's not a good trade. Number one, this is a huge bar. This is 5.5 points. Number two, I jumped in early. I saw this open here, it ticks, two ticks up, and then flushes down. Before this candle was even that far into printing, I jumped in early, which is bad. Now, I jumped in early, and I would say in a couple of seconds, I got filled. I got my profit target. So this was a very quick trade, but I should have waited for this candle to develop a little bit more. It worked out for me in this case, but this is also a huge risk. And there's nothing that says it's going to be one attempt down. So one push up, second push up. It could continue flushing down to continue a second leg here, or it could bounce off the EMA. There's a good argument to say it's going to bounce potentially off the EMA because it's so strong right now, or it could break through, but it hasn't broken through so far. So it was definitely a risk, and it was aggressive, and it was also early. So I should have waited. But I took the trade. I also realized my folly. So I decided, okay, I need to calm down, especially on a day like today where there's so much volume printed and the candles are huge, similar to what happened on Friday. So I had to kind of calm myself down, not invent setups, and just be more patient. So it breaks out of this green down channel or green up channel. When it got to here, I was thinking, is there going to be a potential bounce? But I didn't see a clean setup, so I couldn't, come around to take a trade or even print a trade, or I guess declare an entry. It starts moving down on this channel. So this blue channel down, this yellow channel up. It looks like it was consolidating, and this is another setup that I saw, but I didn't really mark it because this is the first attempt. This is the first high. And then there's a second swing high, third. So I had this line drawn. I didn't trust this enough, but I did see this as a break of this yellow up channel. Made one attempt up. Go ahead and zoom in. Break of this yellow up channel. One attempt up, pull back, second attempt up. And now it looks like it's a second entry short. Also from here, first entry short, second entry short. I like that it's another key entry point is respecting this as a resistance. But again, this is a 6-point candle. So my stop would have to be one tick above here, which feels just very tiny with respect to how big these candles are. So I don't know, in this case, would I try to keep it 2 ticks up or maybe 3? But that just increases the risk on an already large candle. So I saw it, I didn't know what to make of it, and then I saw it flush down and felt a little FOMO, but also okay skipping that trade because I'll admit at the time I didn't trust my read and I wasn't really sure what was happening. I wasn't sure if these lines were drawn correctly, just a whole host of factors on an already super volatile, super volume day. Prices break out, makes like 2 attempts down, consolidates, kind of makes one attempt up, second attempt up, follows down on what I thought was this green down channel, fit pretty nicely. And I thought this is a possible trade. So this is a clear downward sloping trend line. Doesn't really make a clean trading range, but it does have one touch, two touch, three touch, potential triple test. If you drew the line over, then you could also count this as a fourth test, starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nevertheless, there is a triple test here. I like that there is a potential bounce off of here, and it's a second entry long. So I wasn't sure if I was in range rules or if I was in channel rules, trend line rules. But I did see this as a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. I wish the signal bar were a little bit better, but I thought it was at the bottom of potential range, bouncing off this bottom of this green down channel, may have been worth a trade. This is also still a large signal bar because you can see it's 4.5 bars, but it did close very bullish, so I thought there was a potential trade there. Then prices bounce and it kind of sets up in the second trade. So it starts creeping up this orange up channel. Excuse me. It breaks out of this orange up channel, makes one attempt up, pulls back. It's about to make a second attempt up. The reason I thought this is a possible trade is the EMA is starting to show support. So this is the first time it tested it. It didn't close below, it bounces up. This is the second time. I like that this is a break, this orange, one attempt up, second attempt up, decent signal bar. It moved one tick below, reversed, and closed really strong. So I thought this is worth a consideration as a possible trade. Again, this is a 4.75 size candle, which is huge, especially for the profit target I'm looking for. But it looked like it would have worked. Prices then continue moving up. It breaks and look back, and I'm wondering what is going on. There's this huge sell-off, a leg. You could argue kind of a consolidation, and I'm thinking there might be a second leg starting up here, but I'm not sure because it's just very choppy, very whippy. It starts entering what I can identify as a bullish uptrend. So this gray line, ignore it for now. I saw a second entry long here. So this is subtle because in real time, I was feeling anxious because this was an unplanned trade. I thought I might have missed this one. And I thought this was actually a decent setup. So when I saw this guy, I don't know if I'm kind of too much into the weeds. This line doesn't belong here. I saw a new high. It's a first entry long, potentially hitting a support, hitting a resistance. First entry long doesn't make a new high, pulls back, makes a second entry long here. What I liked about this is, one, it's one of the few times that this signal bar is kind of smaller than all these other big guys. If I found this trend line going up and it's following pretty much in parallel with the EMA, so I like this setup. There was enough room to get a quick scalp out of it, but I, just saw it, wasn't quite mentally prepared to take the trade, so I definitely had to just, well, I ended up by default letting it go. Then prices continue moving up. It breaks, has an overshoot, and it starts flushing down and through. Now there's a decisive break below the EMA. Again, I'm watching and I'm just thinking, this is just choppy. I was wondering if it would close the gap and make it all the way up to here. It doesn't today, but it was showing some kind of slight bullish uptrend. So I was thinking we'd make it up here eventually. However, with this huge pullback, I was wondering if it's going to chop a little bit more or was it going to pull back a lot further. So it makes one leg down. I don't really see a clean second entry here. It's just one break and then a continuation down. I do see this as a possible short trade. So it comes down, it says first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Second entry short, this is a large candle, 4.5 bars. I do like that it's kind of pushing on the EMA. Excuse me, the EMA is pushing prices down. And at the time, the way I had this drawn, I thought this is another key entry point of being this resistance here. So I thought, okay, this yellow down channel wants to test the low. In the bigger context, it's still within this purple down channel. So touch the bottom, hit the top, touch the bottom almost, and it's trying to come back up. Maybe it's going to come back down further, at least enough for a scalp. It looked like it would have worked. Again, big candle, I just didn't want to risk it. Prices continue moving and it hits this consolidation area. This gray channel doesn't exist yet, pushes down, breaks this yellow down channel. I thought it was in a trading range here, but nothing super clean that I could trust or feel confident about, considering the price action today. This is actually where I see a higher low. So I see this consolidation in this trading range. So after the break of this screen, it did test and make a new low. And it made one attempt up, second attempt up. So it tested a new high. I drew this line down, but I don't trust it all that much yet. However, I did see this is the localized new high. You technically have a first entry long, just barely, second entry long, and it pushes down below the EMA, pushes clearly back within this range. It bounces off on this candle. Let me just kind of show you what I'm thinking in real time. Bounces off that candle. This one, it's making almost the same size candle, except technically this is an inside bar. Then I see this open one tick higher than this guy, then flush down hard. It breaks through the trading range, and I was thinking with such a strong close, how likely on a 5.25 bar is it going to reverse? I thought there would have been enough for a trade, but it could be a fail breakout. You only know after you see the subsequent candles, but I thought there might have been something here, but not enough for me to declare an actual entry. But it's just something I noticed in real time because I was debating and thinking about this, and then you watch it run away without you. Because I was thinking a break on this side might create a corresponding break on this side, could pull back in, could continue sideways for a lot longer. Prices then continue. Then it kind of falls into this green down channel. I found the bottom support first. There are second entries, but nothing I felt very confident on taking. There was maybe one leg up, pull back, two attempts up, or actually two attempts. Excuse me. I'm rolling over myself here. There is this clear down channel, this green down channel. It's a break of this channel. First attempt up, pull back, second attempt up. But in larger context, it looks like it's one leg down, pull up, second leg, and then it went back up again. So that was a little confusing. I did see the EMA holding prices, but then there was just too many multiple entries. Like there's a first entry short, second entry short, third entry short. You technically could restart the count, but this one was higher than this one, so it left it a little bit confusing for me. The prices look like, I think this moves slightly. Let me adjust this. Yeah, prices then continue moving down. It gets pretty late in the day, and it's just really, really tight trading here. I like that it kind of bounced here, but I couldn't find a clean second entry down here. Let me just zoom in. Like first entry long, second entry long, maybe you could see a second entry long failure, but it's just, even back here, these are still pretty large. They're smaller than before, but it's still large candles, and it's getting close to the end of the day, but I didn't want to risk anything, which just kind of feeling pretty lucky having taken that one terrible looking trade. And it kind of pushes up and goes into the close. So unfortunately, with all this volume and all this price action, I wasn't able to identify more clean second entries. And the ones I did find, they just felt very risky because the candles were just so huge. It was it was kind of like a day that you wish all the candles would have been divided by two, chopped in half. Then it would have felt a little easier taking even a good setup. But if a good setup shows up with this huge signal bar and you have to put in a huge stop loss, even if you're trying to go for more, it's like, well, it kind of changes the dynamics of what you're aiming for, like a quick 1, 2 point scalp. But your original stop loss is maybe 2, 3 points. Now you have to commit to a 6 point stop on the same reward. So it just made it, I don't know, very dicey, very, very nervous to take trades. So hopefully that was helpful.